Hi, Erin. Welcome to the Meetup Spot.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Uh, I know it's blurred, but
Oh,
what's your office like? You don't need to unblur it. Oh,
oops.
Erin?
Yeah, I'll unblur it.
No. That's fine. So
Uh,
far so good. That's
yeah, I'm here at the Craft Council, so I
oh,
share an office. So we're a not-for-profit organization. So
not for
you know,
profit.
yeah. So our offices are also our gallery, are also our storage, and it's where all the work happens. So yeah, that's my office here in the Craft Council.
Nice, not for profit craft council. I also I used to be in the LAF. I think it's the same thing. The Duke Arts Foundry.
Oh yes, I know the Foundry quite well. Yes, so
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
well, yeah. I volunteered for them at the downtown location for like more than a year.
Oh, good. Yeah, they're a great organization. They're doing lots of great things down in Leduc.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, Aaron. All right, let's start. Tell me about yourself and your growing up story,
Oh, I grew up in the east end of Toronto, which is a place called Scarborough, and I spent a lot of my time growing up with my grandparents, my mom's parents, and it was a pretty simple, grounded upbringing. I learned how to bake, how to garden, how to sew. And also, my grandparents is folks who'd been through the Depression and the Second World War. They were also very frugal. And so I learned really how to make do with what you have and to reuse things before reusing was a popular thing. Uh, my grandmother, who raised me, was really my mentor and my hero. She came to Ontario from Sangudo, Alberta, which is just north of Edmonton, about an hour. It's very rural. She was 17 years old. It was 1946. She got on the Greyhound bus with a ration book and a suitcase. And her quiet resilience is really kind of what shaped me as a person. And I moved to Alberta when I was 24 for a 4-month internship, and I drove all the way across the country from Toronto to Calgary with my cat in my hatchback. And I planned to go back after the internship, but it's been 20 years and I'm still here in Alberta.
But you do sometimes go back to Toronto, right?
I do go visit, and right now I've got a couple of clients in Ontario, so I'm able to go visit family and business, and it makes it really, really affordable and realistic to do. So yeah, I do go back fairly often.
And also Toronto to Calgary, it take how long did it take?
I drove for 5 days. I
Five
took
days.
But I was alone, and so I sort of put a cap on the number of hours. I drove for 8 to 10 hours a day at the most. And so when I was planning the trip, I mapped it out. How far from Toronto can I get after 8 hours? And I booked a bed and breakfast there. And so I went to Sault Ste. Marie, then Thunder Bay, then Winnipeg, Regina, and Calgary. So I split it up over 5 days. But to Ontario, it took me 3 days to get out of Ontario. So yeah,
Yeah, because Ontario is big though, right?
it's remarkably big, and Northern Ontario is a world unto its own. It's beautiful and stark at the same time. There's not a ton of population. And when you're driving through the north in the Canadian Shield, there's these giant walls of rock. And if you're driving towards Thunder Bay, you're on this highway. It can be really treacherous, lots of transport traffic. So lots of big trucks, semis, tour buses, and me in my little hatchback, these big walls of rock from the Canadian Shield. And then you all of a sudden come out and there's Lake Superior in front of you, and it is blue and gorgeous and massive. And I think it's really inspiring just how beautiful Canada is. And I'm fortunate to have had that opportunity.
Nice. That is one heck of a cross-country road trip. Toronto to Calgary.
But that's why I never went back because I just want to do the drive again. So I'm stuck.
Oh, Ah, got it. Okay. Okay, Aaron, why do you do what you do?
I I work in this field, arts, culture, and heritage. It's a sector, I guess, because for me, it's always felt like a responsibility. I feel like museums and art and these stories that they can tell are the things that help us understand who we really are and where we're going. And practically, I really enjoy helping organizations make better use of what they already have. And at a deeper level, I'm kind of interested in how meaning, having something that's meaningful, can also have impact and how that can coexist within one another. And so a lot of it is about this feeling of a duty of care to the arts and to culture and to ensuring that we have spaces for them going forward.
Beautiful. And as a Toastmaster, right?
Yeah.
As Toastmasters, how does art and Toastmasters go hand in
Creativity,
hand?
100%. I, with my work in the field, in the arts, it's a lot of learning as you go, learning from others and those who come before you, and trying things out, taking risks and experimenting. And I find that that's what Toastmasters is too. We learn from our heroes and those who've come before us, but a lot of it is trying to find your own unique voice and how you want to present yourself. And that's a journey that no one can do for you.
Nice. That is beautiful. And what helped you get started? What helped get you started in Toastmasters?
I I like this question. I'm going to say one word and then I'll explain why.
Ah,
Persistence.
ah,
Persistence. Someone recruited me for 2 years before I finally joined. She was very adamant that Toastmasters would be great for me. I wasn't sure and I didn't know what Toastmasters really offered. And after I had the chance to come visit once, and that was again after 2 years, she finally wore me down to the point where I said, "Yeah, I'll come." I realized just how much value I could get. And I've been in Toastmasters for almost 10 years.
10 years in to yeah, 10 years in Toastmasters. What was going through your mind when you did your first speech?
I don't remember because I kind of blanked out. I have
Oh,
this experience when I'm giving a speech, I sometimes blank out. And it's something that stressed me out a lot because when you've rehearsed a speech and then you don't remember if you stuck to your speech script, it can be a bit unnerving. But over time, I've really learned to trust that even if my mind goes quiet during a speech, I can still land a message. Like I trust myself enough to do that. So that first speech, I remember the opening. I don't remember anything else from that speech.
oh,
Yeah.
oh. And how did you keep on refining your speeches every time?
I have gotten to a place where I try not to memorize a script word for word. I try to build a story that I understand deeply. And that includes sort of a structure, a flow, an emotional arc that I'm trying to share. And that approach really became important for me after I had a brain injury in 2021. And it really changed how I prepare. I struggle to memorize now. And even when I have something memorized, like I said, things can go blank. But by creating speeches that are more a story that I tell, it makes my speaking a bit more natural. And people have said it's more authentic. And I think it resonates a little bit better with people because it doesn't feel like I'm reading a script. And sometimes I mess up.
Well, you can always do better. And you don't mention and you mentioned that you don't do you don't memorize word for word. So how do you memorize your speeches then?
I really, at this point, I learn the theme and I don't try to memorize the words exactly. And I trust myself to communicate the intention and the impression through the story rather than having the words memorized in the way that people traditionally think. When I give a speech, it's likely not going to be the same twice. And that's great in some ways. And sometimes if I did it so well that the crowd was I, standing and clapping, I don't know if I'd ever be able to give that speech again because it was a one-time thing.
Nice. And you mentioned earlier about learning from someone who came before us. And have you learned from Toastmasters that yeah, that were world champs before, like Darren LaCroix or Ed Tate or Mark Brown?
I have, but you know what? The one
Oh,
champion that I've followed a lot is Verity Price.
ah,
And Verity's storytelling and the way that she communicates is how I would like to communicate in a very authentic, sincere, kind way. And I find that really relatable. And I also appreciated not only her international speaking skills, but her evaluation skills, because I do take evaluations very seriously. I love to compete in the evaluation contest when it happens. And I think that evaluating and giving an evaluation is the act of giving a gift to a speaker. And I just really I value that. And Verity's kindness and her sincerity comes through in her evaluations too.
nice. That's nice. And now that you mention it, how do you do your evaluation speeches?
I take notes as the speaker is speaking, and
Mhm.
I then write a bit of an outline that includes a message for the speaker, but I also include messages for the whole audience. I try to introduce things that the speaker did well by saying that speakers when you do this, it has this effect on the audience. So it's not just a value to the person who was speaking, but the whole audience is able to understand how these techniques enhance our speaking styles and how our speeches land for our audience's ears.
Yes, and those are in addition to the evaluation sandwich.
Oh, there's always a component of the sandwich method where I am looking for something the speaker did very well, an area for improvement, and I try to give them a challenge. All of our speakers have room for growth, whether they're international champions or they've just given their icebreaker. And I like to encourage people to stretch through taking on achievable goals that will push them just to the next level. And so I'm always giving that kind of advice.
Nice, nice. And what are your stories of joining contests?
Oh, I have joined contests. I started doing contests early. It was my first year. And I started before I even really was ready or knew what I was getting into. I took my very first icebreaker to contest because I was encouraged by my club, and I went all the way to division. And I think because I didn't feel ready, it's probably why it worked because it was very much like I'm new and I'm giving this introductory speech. I am now in the contest. This is my second time, and I've only done it twice, right? So the first year and now 10 years in, because I took on so many leadership roles in the district and in the clubs that I just couldn't compete. This year, well, it was kind of humorous. Our club president asked me if I wanted to compete. And if I didn't want to compete, then I would have to be contest chair. And I didn't want to be contest chair. So I'm competing. And I'm going to division tomorrow. And
Oh,
yeah. And you know, the thing with speaking, the speech contests is they really force you to refine your message, raise your standard, learn where you're strong and where you need to improve. And my practice with contest speeches is before the contest, I give the speech several times at the club and at other clubs to get practice. So the
oh,
first time I give it isn't the contest. It's I've given it at the club, I've gotten an evaluation. I've given it at other clubs, I've gotten evaluation. And those evaluations really help me get my speech to the point that it's going to land with my audience.
Nice, nice. And what was your first contest speech like?
Well, it was my icebreaker. And like I said earlier, I don't entirely remember it. I just know that my story was about my grandmother who raised me, and I shared a little bit about that and how her life and my life have been mirrors of one another in that she went to Ontario very young. I came to Alberta on my own. And it's a bit about taking risks and being willing to take a chance on yourself. That was my first contest speech.
That's beautiful. That is awesome. That's awesome. And how has your Toastmasters journey so far helped in your taking up leadership roles within the district?
I think that Toastmasters has helped me hone my voice. I was in leadership roles many years before I joined Toastmasters, and I had learned a lot of skills and techniques for leadership through formal and informal learning, just learn on the job. But I was never confident in it. And I think the Toastmasters journey helped me build my confidence, but also my self awareness. In Toastmasters, you learn how to communicate clearly, take feedback, and you learn how to read a room. And I think those are really core leadership skills that took me to roles like club leadership and also division director, and then later public relations manager for the district.
That's nice. That's nice. And are you currently in a leadership roles within are you currently in a leadership role within this district?
I'm not. I did
Oh,
take on the public relations manager in July due to some personal life things. Just I had to step back from that role in January. I am in club leadership for both of my clubs, so I am the VP of education for my home club and the VP of membership for my second club, and I also serve as the club secretary for my home club.
so you're in a lot of clubs, not just one?
I am in two clubs right now.
Oh,
I'm in Aim Crier, which is a hybrid club in St. Albert. We meet in person and online, so we do a fully hybrid experience. And my other club is World Lights, and it is a really interesting space. It's a global club that is formed across the international date line. So we have members in Canada, United States, but also in Japan, New Zealand, Australia, Nigeria, and we've had guests from Russia, China, the UK, Poland, Brazil, and Indonesia. And our club meets twice a month. It's Friday evening in Alberta, it's Saturday morning in the Asia Pacific region, and most of our members English is their second language, and we focus our conversations on sharing cultural experiences from around the world and the differences and similarities across cultures. And it's a really special place.
that's beautiful. Oh, that's really awesome to be in.
Yeah, it's a great space. I love that I have friends all over the world because of Toastmasters.
Nice. And how do you manage being on two clubs? Or did you mention already?
I find because my home club is weekly and my second club is only twice a month,
Uh-huh.
it's not too hard to balance, but it is work. And I really like being busy. I have a lot of things going on in my life anyways, so I just schedule it. I have a really complex calendar, and my calendar just tells me where I have to be and when and what I'm responsible for. And so I just make time. It's important to me, so I make the time.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, okay. Outside of Toastmasters, you are Curator and Development Coordinator for the Alberta Craft Council. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I am curator for the Alberta Craft Council. So, in that role, I develop exhibition themes and I bring artists together around a shared idea. And then I help to translate that for audiences. And that includes meeting artists, evaluating their artwork, exploring practices that I'm unfamiliar with, and connecting the dots between different artist practices. So it's a lot of thinking about themes and how themes connect and where they resonate. On the development side, I work to secure funding for that exhibition program. So I'm applying for grants, I'm applying for sponsorships and supports that will help us pay our artists and also support programming that goes with our exhibitions, like workshops for students.
Mm.
Uh,
So
in
go on, go on. I'm sorry about that. Go on.
Oh, that's okay. And then I also, in my consulting work, because I do quite a lot, and my consulting work is a mix of research, writing, and advising. And so I usually am helping an organization clarify what they're trying to do with heritage or arts or culture, and then building a path forward with them.
Nice. And tell me more about those exhibition programs.
Ah, so uh, right now, I'm working on an exhibition that will be opening in just over a week, and it's
Oh,
featuring all artists. Most of our shows feature all artists from Alberta, and they're always craft artists. And craft is a loose term that describes artwork often that's functional, that is different from what you see in a fine art gallery. And so oftentimes they're working with materials that are a little more accessible, things like fiber and wood and ceramic. And we bring those together under certain themes. So the theme that we're working on right now is eyes as symbols for seeing and viewing and understanding and perceiving. So we have 17 works that are going in, and they're all featuring various forms of eyes. So we'll see how people feel about that because eyes can be intense, and a room full of eyes is going to feel like you're being watched. And so I'm going to be really curious how our audience responds to this.
and now that you mention it, where's the place going to be if you want people to come see it?
Oh, yeah, we're at the Alberta Craft Council Gallery shop, and I'll just grab the address. We're located uh, on 102nd Avenue at 106th Street, and there is a lot of construction right now. So we have a map on our website that shows how to get there, but the exact address is Alberta is 10186 106th Street, and we're right by Norquest University.
That's nice. That's nice. You operate EMC3 Consulting, where your about page says that you help clients steward that they already have, what they already have, rather,
Mhm.
and make it work for the future. What does your everyday work look like?
Yeah, everyday work is often a mix of, like I said, research, writing, advising. I do a lot of desk research into communities so that when we're making recommendations and plans for communities, that we're doing it with a real understanding of the unique nature of that community. There isn't a one size fits all solution, especially with arts, culture, and heritage, where the the way that the community engages with it is quite unique to that community, about who's in it, who's participating, who isn't participating, and what kinds of modalities. So, some communities have a really strong choir community, but they might not have as many visual arts spaces, whereas some communities have amazing theater programs, Edmonton being one of them, but we don't have as many supports for literary arts. So, my work is about understanding what those unique nuances are and then being able to develop plans, strategies, programs, and more to advance the arts, culture, and heritage in a way that's meaningful. And I also do appraisals. So if somebody is trying to figure out what something is worth, that's where I come in, is I can help them determine the value of an artwork, a collectible item, or a whole collection.
That's nice. Appraisals. Now that you know, now that you mentioned appraisals, though, like now that you mentioned appraisals, this is for fun. I've to be honest with you. So far, I'm making this snivy out of Perla beads right here.
Yep.
If I sold this on a craft market, how would you appraise it then?
Oh, well, appraisal is an interesting question because typically we're also looking at the whole in the context of a marketplace. So the first thing I would do is look for previous sales of similar things. So
Mhm.
rather than tell you right now, well, you should sell it for $100 or $1,000. I don't know. I would have to go ahead and do some research into other works that are similar to it and find out what the marketplace looks like. From there, I can help you value your piece based on comparing condition, comparing materials, comparing the maker, whoever created it, and so on. So it's a very intricate and detailed process where my knowledge that I have is really useful, but in almost all cases, I have to go and do additional research. So I'll be looking at market sales across a variety of platforms, maybe Etsy, maybe eBay, maybe other marketplaces.
Nice, nice, nice. What's your advice to people who are in the middle of their Toastmasters journey?
Oh, keep going. Even even when it feels inconvenient, keep going. I I've found in my time in Toastmasters, a lot of folks come and go, and it's really easy to treat Toastmasters as optional. But I believe it's really a form of mental training, and its value comes from consistency. Just like if you want to build strong arms, you're going to need to go to the gym and work out those muscles, and you're going to need to be consistent about it. You're going to need to challenge yourself and take some risks. It's the same with Toastmasters and mental training. And I don't think the benefit comes from just sitting passively in a meeting and observing. I think it comes from really engaging, participating, and coming back year after year. And this is about a personal investment into yourself and to your self expression. And for a lot of folks, other things in life become higher priorities. And I think that's unfortunate. I think we really need to maintain a practice of investment into our mental training. And Toastmasters is a great way to do that.
Nice. And you mentioned about your Division D contest tomorrow.
Yes.
So far, yeah, so far so good. I mean, do you want to tell us what your speech is going to be?
Yes. My speech is called The Lighthouse That Learned to Dim. I
Wow.
wrote it. It's an original fable. And it's the story of a lighthouse that faces a storm that doesn't just test it, it unmakes it entirely and what it learns from that journey. And it's an extended metaphor for the people in the world that are told that in order to succeed, you have to burn brighter than anyone else. And you have to extend yourself beyond your capacity. And the reality is that being your best doesn't mean burning yourself out. It means finding ways to show up at your best over and over again. And that's about endurance. It's not about burning yourself out.
Nice. And since the rules when it comes to contests that it has to be personal, how do you resonate to that?
I have gone through some pretty significant challenges over the past few years. I mentioned that I had a traumatic brain injury. It was a serious concussion. But in the past 18 months, I've had three major surgeries. A year ago, this time I couldn't walk. My spine actually exploded, and I was in a walker and had to have emergency spine surgery. And I got to that point by burning myself as hard as I could for many, many years to meet the expectations I thought other people had of me. And I've learned now, after a significant illness and health challenges, that I don't need to do that. I don't need to burn myself out. I can be my best and still take time to rest and recover and be present with my family. And it's not always about working yourself to the bone.
That's wonderful. If I'm saying it right.
Mm.
Okay. Right now, it's tough for people these days to find jobs. If they want to go the same path as you as a curator and development creator, and also the appraiser, what are the things they can do right now to practice?
So, really good thing in my field is just start by showing up. There's a lot of free events. There's a lot of very low cost events. There's a lot of programs that have tickets that are priced for students or people who have economic hardship. So, show up, meet people, meet artists, pay attention to what's happening locally. The work that I do is community based. And so it really is about being present in the community. You can't really do that from behind a computer screen. And so this field is built on relationships and awareness, and you can't really shortcut that. But it doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. Some people think, well, to get involved in the arts, I've got to buy expensive tickets, seasons passes to the Citadel. You could, but you can also access really affordable shows at places like the Yardbird Suite for jazz, or Rapid Fire Theater for improv, or Roxy Theater uh, for staged productions. There's so much here in Edmonton that you can access for free or low cost, that you can really start to build up a practice by building that network and community.
That's nice. That's nice. So now that you mentioned networking and community, how has networking and the community benefited you?
I guess it's just where I find my joy and my resilience. I always return to my community, which is, people who live and work in the arts. And I'm always reminded just how talented and passionate we are, but also how much people overcome every day just to show up. And that keeps me grounded. Like even though I've been through a lot, I I can still show up.
Nice. Nice. And what does being in Toastmasters mean to you?
It's my favorite place where I choose to do something uncomfortable regularly with people I enjoy. And it's a place where I stand up in front of people and willingly risk embarrassment with people that I consider friends. And I think that's a great space
Hmm. And why should anyone join Toastmasters?
because I think it's one of the few structured ways to get measurably better at communication. And even a small improvement for most people, even if you improve 5% in your ability to communicate, it will have a real impact. I believe a lot of our challenges that we face, that we hear about in the news, that we face on a day-to-day basis, boil down to poor communication and an inability to understand one another. Toastmasters gives you a leg up in communicating and listening better than any other learning opportunity I've ever been in. And I've been in a lot.
I see. And lastly, what does your work as a curator again, and again the curator, development creator, coordinator, and appraiser mean to you?
I think everything I do, like curation, consulting, my public speaking, it comes back to helping people make sense of complexity and connect more clearly with each other. That's what I do. I interpret in a very specific way, and they're all related to the same thing.
That's nice. That's nice. And that's it for the questions. Are you ready for quick fire?
Sure.
Okay, answer, you just simply answer questions quickly in under 90 seconds. Here we go. One word to describe yourself.
Curious.
Ooh. What is your best Toastmasters tip?
Ah, pretend that your anxiety is excitement. Comes from sports psychology. Pretend it's excitement. You will get over your nerves much more quickly.
Okay, wow, that's kind of interesting to hear that. One everyday item you can't leave without.
Burt's Bees lip balm.
Nice. Mantra in life.
This comes from my very first speech. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. and it's from Seneca. It's over 2,000 years old.
Okay. Best place in Edmonton for a good meal.
I love shepherd's pie and a good pint. So Holmes Pub downtown. It's reliable and it's exactly what I want.
Best place in Alberta to go road tripping or travel.
Oh, Icefields Parkway between Jasper and Banff.
Ah, nice. One song that uplifts you.
Iggy Pop, The Passenger.
Best lesson you learned as a curator and development coordinator.
Trust your instincts, but make sure you have information.
Best book you've read.
I would say William Faulkner, The Sound and the Fury.
And lastly, your biggest inspiration in public speaking.
The Audience.
Ah, that's nice. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's do a screenshot. Okay. Again, thank you, Erin, for coming to the Meetup Spot.
Thank you so much, Nigel. This was a lot of fun. I really
I know.
appreciated it. And I always love being on podcasts and doing these things. So thank you for asking and reaching out. How did you find me?
I think honestly, as a Toastmaster, I remember coming to our open house.
Ah, okay, great. I'm so glad. Which club are you
Uh,
in?
Leduc Black Gold with
Excellent.
Tiff. Yeah.
Cool. I love Leduc Black Gold. Leduc is one of my favorite places. I've done a lot of work there recently, and Leduc is a great community. So, and you have a great club there.
Thank you. Any last thoughts or comments?
No, just thank you for having me. It's really great to have something like this nearby. So I look forward to listening to the episode.
And anywhere we can find you?
On my website, emc3consulting.ca, and over at
Nice.
the Alberta Craft Council.
That's awesome. And also, I'd like to say two things. This is the back-to-back Toastmaster,
Yeah,
and also it's been a while since I've talked to someone based in Alberta.
excellent. Well, I know that you talked to Alan Cross, and I've been listening to Alan Cross for 25 or more
Ah,
years. And I grew up listening to him on Sonic 102.9.
oh yeah.
Um, and the Edge in Toronto. And I think it's great. You're getting some great guests, and I really look forward to listening to all of the episodes.
Thank you, Aaron. Anyways, again, Aaron, thank you for coming to the Meetup Spot.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too, man.
Bye.
Bye.